So the future of the Boruto manga and where things are headed next. Do Naruto and Sasuke even need to die at this particular point?
I must go, must leave this house. I must go, the time is now. I must go, it's time to get out.
Where we left off with Boruto with chapter 71, honestly, things were in a bit of a disarray. A lot of fans pretty much had it pinpointed that, okay, boom, we got Code here. He's building up his own league of villains, so to speak. Think My Hero Academia. He had him, Ada, Damon, Bug, even though Bug isn't all that useful, but he had Bug. And it kind of seemed like it was headed in a direction of he's building his own squad. So when round 2 comes along, he's going to have forces to back him up, and it was going to get deadly. But with 71, it kind of left Code, despite the fact that he finally got his limiters removed, so he has now the capabilities that I believe were said to rival that of Jigen, that pretty much he was even stronger than Jigen. I don't know about Ishiki Otsutsuki, because y'all saw what Ishiki Otsutsuki was, dog. If it wasn't for that last minute, "Oi mate, I've got Bari on mode," it would have been curtains for our favorite ninja. So we pretty much had it that he was kind of left in disgrace to a certain degree, and at the time it left me with a sour taste in my mouth. Thankfully, Boruto has been on a hiatus for the last month or so, and it kind of made people like me that are pretty hardcore Naruto fans, and I love Boruto as well, miss the series. So it made me reflect and look at things from a different perspective, where the series could go at this particular point, because we could talk to death and we could go in on the old dead horse of, oh my god, we need the time skip. I think that's been more than established of, yo, we need the time skip. So that's nothing new at this particular point, but something that started the series off. Y'all already know they teased it pretty much, oh my god, 5 years ago now, that, yo, something dark happened to Naruto, and it might have happened to Sasuke as well, with that infamous line of Kawaki, I'm gonna send you to where I sent the 7th, and then Sasuke's cloak and his ninja headband on Boruto left a lot of people questioning, like, yo, dog, bottom line, are Naruto and Sasuke dead? And I know a lot of people are like, oh no, that's not gonna happen. And for the longest time, honestly, I've been the same way. I mean, I've been kind of back and forth to a certain degree on whether or not it could happen, but for the most part, I was like, in order for the next generation to thrive, in order for things to go into a new direction and kind of truly give the grace of the next generation of the Naruto verse, you know, kind of that stamp of, yo, dog, it's their time, Naruto and Sasuke had to bite the big one. But as it stands right now, from everything that happened pretty much since the end of the fight against Ishiki, I kind of feel like Naruto and Sasuke don't need to die. And of course, for many reasons, they're probably not going to die at this particular point. Maybe early on when Ukyo Kodachi, the original writer of Boruto, in case you don't know, the original creator was Masashi Kishimoto. He did all of Naruto. When it's time to do Boruto, he was like, nah, dog, you do it. And he let this dude, Ikamoto, one of his people that were working on the Naruto manga since chapter 7, do the art, and Ukyo Kodachi was doing the writing. And I'd imagine there was a big possibility in Ukyo Kodachi's mind that, no, I'm killing Naruto at the end of this whole situation against Ishiki. That didn't happen, but two of the biggest things that happened from that, and two of the things that pretty much made it so that the previous generation are no longer just absolutely dominant and can't be stopped, is we lost Kurama and Naruto. Naruto is pretty much arguably the weakest he's ever been now that he doesn't have that limitless chakra, that infamous ability to freaking heal from damn near everything in a quick amount of time. And then of course, Rinnegan, Sasuke losing his Rinnegan, it pretty much weakened them to this point of, yo, dog, you got somebody that, remember when Jigen threw hands against Naruto and Sasuke, just Jigen, he was already just beyond a foe that they couldn't really rock with. And then of course when it went to Ishiki, it was, you know, nothing. They couldn't do pretty much damn near anything to him. They had to have that hack of sacrificing Kurama. And as it stands right now, I feel like with Naruto and Sasuke in particular, they don't need to die, on top of the reasons of course, for marketing and the future of this series, that, hey, regardless of what, it is always going to be that they need to be some form, whether it be mentioned, whether it be in the background, whether it be in the story, they sell this franchise. Those were the popular characters of the OG series, and to this day, a lot of old school fans and even new school fans, they tune in because they know that those are the badasses. Except those badasses aren't as badass as they once were, because now they've kind of been, to a certain degree, crippled. They're not as strong as they were back when they fought against Madara and Kaguya at the end of Naruto. Although you could argue that maybe if they had some advancements in between Naruto and Boruto, that they probably could be somewhere close to that level. I don't buy it personally, because we've seen that alone Naruto is rustier than ever. Even Kurama called him out on that. And then likewise with Sasuke, that it didn't seem that he had the greatest amount of advancement that you would have hoped for in between the two series. Like, he just kind of looked like maybe he was around that strength. Possibly you could argue he got stronger, because at the very least Sasuke was the one roaming around, going on missions, while Naruto was pretty much at home with his family and then stuck to a desk eventually with the job of Hokage. So I feel like where we're at with it right now, because of those two quote-unquote nerfs, you could argue that what would be the point and reason behind killing them off anymore other than impact, and we'll get to that in a second on the impact of a major death from the previous cast. It's not necessary anymore to kill them, because one of the biggest things to kill them off or remove them from the story would be so that the next gen has an opportunity to shine, so that they don't gotta rely on Naruto and Sasuke. And even in some of the latest chapters, as you could argue maybe you don't feel it per se, or you're not into it, it seems as though, to a certain degree, Boruto, if he was to get control of this Momoshiki power, and Kawaki with his newfound karma, they damn near surpassed, or at the very least reached, the levels that Naruto and Sasuke are at right now. We saw in that big, massive exchange months ago when Kawaki blew a hole through Boruto and all that stuff, that he seemingly outclasses Naruto at this particular point. I mean, granted, in a one-on-one, I would still argue Naruto will probably get him, not just because Kawaki would hold back, because, you know, he can't hurt his sweet old Hokage, but on top of that, it seems as though with all of these power-ups and everything that's happened in the Borutoverse up until this point, there's a potential that they've, I hate to even say it, but reached to where Naruto and Sasuke are at right now. Again, if Naruto was full power with Kurama Baryon mode, probably not. Sasuke with both of his eyes, Rinnegan, and all the abilities that we never seen him utilize in Boruto, but should have had, probably not. But because they've been weakened already, that motive of removing them from the story, because you got two essential walking gods that can handle any problem that's thrown at the Naruto Borutoverse at this point, they don't have those capabilities anymore. So when Code reaches a new level, let's just say, you know, because he got his ass stomped out by Damon in the last chapter, but if he advances one step further into the power scales of Ishiki Otsutsuki, let alone, again, the fact that his levels right now place him at pretty much Jigen, and Naruto had Kurama and Sasuke had his Rinnegan when they fought against the regular Jigen form, you add a little bit more power to that and you get him a couple of troops, and it's curtains. It's curtains at this particular point. So that initial reason to remove them from the series kind of was accomplished in a different method of just weakening them, getting rid of Kurama, getting rid of the Rinnegan. They don't really have that reason anymore story-wise, and for the structure of it, and for the future of, hey, you gotta remove them so that the next generation has a fighting chance to shine, because they're pretty much almost outclassing them. Now, mind you, it really is only Boruto and Kawaki, and it's because of the Momoshiki and the karma, but that's just the reality. But there's still that whole element of impact, right? There's still that whole element of, but dog, come on, if nobody's gonna die in all of this situation, then what's the impact? And I always go back to an interview that Masashi Kishimoto said, I want to say it was probably around 2017, where he said, no, my gen, the previous gen, I told the writers, I told the people that are in charge, and of course now he is supervising more than ever. We don't even know. It's pretty much like a headless horseman that's writing Boruto at this particular point, ever since they removed Ukiyo Kodachi, because they said it was supposedly Kishimoto taking over, but then he never got credited as writer, only as, like, you know, the creator, so to speak, and supervisor. So we don't know who's writing it per se, but he said that, yo, you could kill off the previous gen. I don't want to restrict them from, like, you know, not my precious previous gen. So if we don't need to kill off Naruto, we don't need to kill off Sasuke, and one thing that has seemingly been red flagged to death at this particular point that would still be a shining beacon of holy shit, this is messed up, would be, of course, Shikamaru. If Shikamaru was to die, which again, him being the right hand man to Naruto, him being a father to one of the next gen, even though Shikadai doesn't get as much screen time in the manga as he deserves, of course the anime always does that. Like, if you ever are interested or you want to see more of the next gen of Boruto, I know most people, they've already dismissed the Boruto anime a long time ago. I don't really check it out as much as I used to, but definitely definitely the next gen of Boruto are heavily showcased and focused in on in the anime. And because of that fact, Shikadai losing his father, that would be massive, especially when it comes to the anime, because then you have more character development for him and you have more of an impact of, no, we did lose an OG. Now, granted, there's a wide selection of OG characters that they could have done it with. Again, of course, Naruto and Sasuke, but just being realistic about it, man, it's just damn near impossible that they're going to do it at this point. They've already weakened the two of them. They've already moved them aside in terms of being the pinnacle of power of this ninja world, so they don't really need to be killed off, and they're not going to be killed off. I'm calling it right now. They won't be. At most, it'll be teased. At most, one of them will be severely injured, but at this point, I'd be shocked if either of them died. The time for them to die, I felt, kind of already passed on after the Ishiki moment. Ishiki would have been the perfect timing. Hey, he's connected to the Otsutsuki, Kaguya, all of that stuff. It would have cemented, hey, this is the impact. But because they were essentially, again, quote-unquote, nerfed, it pretty much leaves, okay, well, who else is there? Sakura, I don't see it happening, nor would I want it to. I mean, she hasn't really been all that relevant in the manga for forever now, pretty much. We don't really see her, despite her being a part of that, you know, trio of Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, and just in general, Sarada's mom. It's not gonna happen. And one of the only other key players from the previous gen, I guess there's two, but I don't see it happening to the other person, is Shikamaru and Konohamaru. But keep it real, would you want Konohamaru to die? I mean, despite the fact that he has been treated absolutely abysmal, the dude that, you know, as a kid, as like a 12-year-old, took out a pain, is now a laughingstock. And I think that there's other ways to improve his character and his reputation other than killing him. I think, if anything, there's so much that Konohamaru has to prove right now that it would be a true last spin in the face to any fan of Konohamaru, anybody that believed in Konohamaru, anybody that at one point wanted to see him thrive and whatnot, to kill him. It would be impactful, it would be huge, it would be a monumental moment for the series, but because there's so much more for him to prove, because he's kind of like the Kakashi of this new gen in terms of, you know, for Sarada, Mitsuki, and Boruto, again, despite the fact that the manga barely gives us any Sarada and Mitsuki anymore. I miss when the Boruto manga, like during the Boro fight, where it still kind of kept it core integral. It brought in Kawaki, but for the most part, it was still showcasing, no, there's importance on Sarada. There was importance on the son of Orochimaru. Like, there was still importance to them. We don't really get that much. So again, Konohamaru passing, it would be a real big waste of what they could do with him moving forward. You know, we get a time skip. He learned in those years of, like, he studied his grandfather's old moves. He learns how to summon that giant ape with the freaking stick or whatnot. That would be epic. That would be where we should go with it. So again, it always just lies and falls back on the one character that would really still make people, like even myself, I ain't gonna lie, that'll trend everywhere. Everybody will go nuts, sad and whatnot if Shikamaru was to be the one. So I feel like he's the marked man out of all of the cast and whatnot. It's not gonna be Naruto, it's not gonna be Sasuke. I feel like that time has passed, that ship has sailed, so to speak. It ain't gonna be Sarada's mom, Sakura. She's not relevant enough in the manga. Konohamaru, he got too much to prove. And I mean, who else is really relevant and integral in Boruto from the previous gen that you would do that to give impact? I think because Boruto, to a certain degree, you could almost argue, needs to be a requel. If you don't know what a requel is, look it up in order for it to feel more impactful for, again, previous fans. Because regardless of what, you don't want to throw away the previous generation of fans. Like, we're the ones that get it popping when there's a big battle, okay? We're the ones that make those big 30 million viewed on Crunchyroll, all sorts of stuff, trends and everything. You can't completely dismiss us, so it probably got to be Shikamaru. On top of the fact that older fans will be able to deal with it more, and if anything, it'll be more meaningful to us. And newer fans, they're not going to really, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of kids and younger people like Gen Z, and they'll get into this story starting with Boruto. Like, my niece and nephew tell me that they know people that they legit start off with Boruto, which is bananas and insane to me. Like, you started off where? Like, what is wrong with you? Who raised you? But they're not going to have that attachment to Shikamaru. The younger kids that, you know, just Boruto fans through and through, they've been watching the anime weekly for years upon years. They're not going to have that bond with Shikamaru, so it ain't going to break them up that much. Just like the anime, which I'm still shocked to this day that the Boruto anime killed off one of the previous Kage, and it's not even really mentioned in the manga. Was it ever mentioned that Onoki was killed off in the anime? Like, yeah, Onoki's dead, and they could do that in the anime anime because the new gen is just going to be like, that old guy, he was kind of mean anyway. And Shikamaru, because he's kind of been straight-faced, because he's not the lovable, lazy guy that he was in the previous gen, there's a high probability that they could snipe him, just bottom line. And we've talked about that before, but I feel like it had to be cemented at this point that there's almost no reason to even kill off Naruto and Sasuke. Even going into the time skip, you could, hurt them, you could banish them away to another dimension that they can't get back from unless, Kawaki goes or Boruto goes using their karma marks or whatever. You can do whatever you want with them. They're probably not going to die. That's probably an old thing, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm not that mad about it, considering the fact that, hey, it's been already a good amount of time that they've been in the story. We get it. It's not the greatest of how they've been handled. Personally, I don't like that they've kind of made Naruto look like a bumbling idiot towards, like, the latest stuff with Code, when Code was in the village or whatnot. It was a little bit ridiculous the way his character's been played up, but it's better than just killing characters off for the sake of it. Like, if it's just so that we kill a character, it's no bueno. Like, having Shikamaru, because all of the flags have been set up, him being the right-hand man to the Hokage, him being Shikadai's father, him being that straight, hard body, he's been on top of the Hokage situation for a long time, advising Naruto over and over again, this kid gotta go, because Naruto never listened to the right-hand man, because Naruto constantly ignored the advice of his attorney, pretty much. That would be impactful that you didn't listen to him, and look what happened, because the manga ended at, last chapter before the hiatus with chapter 71 with Code saying, I'm gonna just kill everything and wreck everything. He's on a rampage, he's on a warpath. It's just him and Bug. He goes and finds some of those, cyborgs that Jigen was trying to dispose of all those years ago. He finds a few more of them, and it's curtains. Just because Ada and Damon aren't rocking with him, which, let's be honest here, Damon, he's not gonna work well in Konoha at all. That kid is freaking damn near demented. You know what I'm saying? So, however that situation is going to play out, whether he falls back into, rocking with Code at some given point, or Kawaki basically shits on Ada and makes her mad and decide to go and rock with Code, whatever it is, it's still going to lead to Code getting stronger, and this time around it's going to have to be Boruto with Momoshiki's powers and Kawaki with his newfound karma that are going to be the front forces. We don't need Naruto and Sasuke anymore to die. We don't need them to fight. They kind of now can truly play the background, because these two characters have ascended to a level that is pretty much surpassing them. I hate saying that because it's like, how, Sway? How are you doing this to me? But I guess let me know what you guys think. Do you think that at this point Naruto and Sasuke are still up for grabs in terms of the Reaper coming for them, or that ship has sailed? And if it's not Shikamaru, and it's not Naruto, and it's not Sasuke, who do you think would be the one that they're going to use to cement that everything that happened here left a mark on Konoha? I mean, granted, destroying Konoha as well, considering that's another thing that Code wants to do, would be very impactful. When Pain did it, even though there was a big revival and reversal of a lot of people that died, it left a mark of, yo, this dude really lit shit up. So it could be the same case as well of just, you see how Konoha looked when Kawaki was fighting Boruto. That could be the aftermath of Code's revenge and his wrath. And your overall thoughts of where things are going to go with chapter 72 and beyond. It felt like, I don't know, 100 million years since I've talked about Boruto, and it kind of really dawned on me that we don't need the two mascots to die anymore. They've already been weakened. They've already been, I don't want to say pushed to the back, but they're not the strong gods that they once were, so there's no purpose to really kill them off. If anything, is going to be the character that has been with the red flag on his back for a long time now. We're gonna cry. Shikamaru, I'm wishing you your best. That's all I have for this one. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule. Anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in, and we'll see where this goes when it returns. But yeah, Code is still, at the end of the day, an incredible force of something you don't want to mess with. If he is at Jigen's level and he gets a couple of people and he gets one more power up, there's nothing Naruto and Sasuke could do. It's all up to Boruto and Kawaki, and we'll see how that plays out, because it's going to be fierce, lads. Have an awesome one. Oh, you should totally subscribe.
I have a dream, alone in my room as I sit with the tea. Couldn't possibly think what I often see. And you don't even know how I often blink. Lights be flashing, you're looking at me. Such an odd, unique, yet I'm so unique. And you're looking at me. If the walls could talk, they would probably repeat. And I'd probably say, bitch, get the fuck off me.